Hi everyone, this is Emily and I'm a digital transformation consultant at Hyperbots. I'm really pleased to have Dave Sackett on the call with me, who is the VP of Finance at Persimmon Technologies. So thank you so much for joining us, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Emily.
So Dave, today we'd be discussing the chart of accounts in Sage Intacct. So let's quickly dive into the first question. So can you please explain the key components of an effective GL coding scheme in Sage Intacct and how exactly it benefits financial management?
Yep, what you want to do is set up your chart of accounts with logic and using a numerical scheme. One could be assets, two could be liabilities. You could have four for revenue, three for equity. Like having that range so that all your assets begin with one, all your liabilities begin with two, sets up a logical format for any chart of accounts that's useful for doing report writers, for using an AI model to just categorize your data logically. And when you are creating your chart of accounts, you should have gaps in there so that you're not just adding one account to the next account to the next account as you have new ones, like plan for expansion. And my suggestion would be have your accounts spaced out at least 5 spaces across. So, whatever your number is, dot, 005, dot 10, dot 15. And then if you do need to place accounts in there, you can structure them in the chart of accounts without having to remap them with a report writer.
Got it. So, apart from what you just mentioned, Dave, are there any other best practices you'd recommend when setting up or maintaining a chart of accounts in Sage Intacct?
Yes, you want to avoid miscellaneous as best as you can because people are always asking, well, what's in miscellaneous? So if you can really understand your business and really code things to the right place in the chart of accounts, you'll have an easier way to report. And that said, you don't want to go crazy and capture everything with an account. One exception to that might be project accounting, where you want to track all the costs to a certain project. That might be different. But in terms of your prepaids, you don't want to have prepaid for every vendor. You want general accounts to cover prepaid marketing expenses, prepaid insurance expenses. And within there, you still may have multiple policies, you might have multiple meetings, but at least you're grouping similar, assets in a category without really cluttering your chart of accounts. So you don't want your chart of accounts to be 40 pages like they were back in the olden days. Right now, people like a more clean, very succinct, short chart of accounts that then if they do want detail, then that's a whole nother report that you can extract from that account if you set it up properly.
So, quickly shifting gears from best practices to common mistakes or errors companies make when creating or managing chart of accounts, what are some of those?
Some of those is that they just take their existing account and try to make it into a new system. And that's not taking into effect the future. How is your business going to change? What revenue models are you going to have? And what can you do differently? To me, it's businesses are very often not static. They're changing all the time. There's new things that come up. So anytime you have a chance to go through the chart of accounts, don't just copy what you did. Don't just do things because it was done in the past. Really think at it, with a new perspective and say, okay, what is my goal with this chart of accounts? What are my future reports going to be like? So to me, I like to think of the future output from the chart of accounts to say, okay, here are the management reports that I want to create. Then now go backwards. Okay, so now what do I need to set up in the chart of accounts so that I can get that final output report? And by looking at your end goal and working backwards can help you avoid missing accounts or not setting it up properly.
Understood. So, Dave, how would you suggest a company, build a flexible and scalable chart of accounts to accommodate growth?
Having it structured logically so that you can have automation help with this using chat gpt for example to have examples of chart of accounts. Maybe there's things that are out there, the new things, maybe it's leases that you have that's new. Now you need to know, with new accounting rules comes new accounts. You need to know the right of use asset, right of use liability. Like because of new accounting rules, now you've got new accounts. So it's kind of having an eye on the future and really what's happening today and having those as resources as you think logically through a chart of accounts.
Understood. Also, Dave, how can AI help maintain the integrity of chart of accounts in Sage Intacct?
So the benefits of AI is that it loves patterns and loves data. And an ERP structures things for AI that's easy to understand. It can say from this range to that range, do X. You can train your model based on your data if it's kept logically using the chart of accounts. So you don't want something that's all over the place and things kind of mismatched. You want to be able to have a formula in your chart of accounts that makes AI's job much easier to say, yes, I know where all AI can find the assets, they can find the liabilities, they can find things quickly based on account ranges. So just like you would do for a report writer, you know, AI will use that same logic. So by really structuring it cleanly and logically, you're going to make AI's job much easier, much less likely for errors when you try to do your modeling with AI.
So, can you provide an example of how a fast growing company might benefit from using AI to manage its chart of accounts in Sage?
Yep, you can have AI give you the suggestions and have it give you flux analysis in a chart of accounts and really, try to do some analytical work on what accounts are missing or what accounts are not being used or what settings are wrong. So you can feed AI all the things that must be and then have it do the analysis on your chart of accounts to see if there's any inaccuracies, if there's anything that's out of order in terms of causing an anomaly where AI would have to stop and kind of question, well, what am I looking at? Why is this account here? You want to take away those questions and make it easy for an AI tool to assist you in diagnosing your chart of accounts.
So, is there any advice you'd like to give, Dave, when companies are looking to transition from, let's say, a smaller accounting solution like, QuickBooks to a more robust system like Sage?
Yeah, no, I think that's as the company grows, that's what you're going to have to do. It's that Sage has far more features and has a look on the future much better, like than your QuickBooks example. I myself am moving from QuickBooks onto Epicor, but in terms of Sage, that's another ERP system that will work great for many companies, and using AI to assist is just such a benefit and time saver.
So, just to wind things up really quick, Dave, how often should a company review and update its chart of accounts, and what essentially triggers these reviews?
Yeah, usually if there's any changes, if you've got a new business, if you have, plans for the future, a different budget, different ways to look at your data, different departments that are created, and whoever your end users are and how they're going to use that financial data will dictate, do you have the right account structures in place? Do you have the right projects ready to track? Do you have the right accounts for what you're doing? And not only what you're doing today, but what you will be doing. So you do want to participate in budget meetings and forecast meetings to really understand where the business is going and prepare your chart of accounts for that transition. So I wouldn't say change every couple months, but as a general rule of thumb, maybe once a year you take a look. And certainly as things change and new accounts are required, you want to be ahead of that before it's too late.
That's really great. So, thank you so much, Dave, for sharing these insights on managing the chart of accounts and Sage Intact, leveraging AI and planning for future growth. Your expertise is invaluable for any company looking to optimize its financial management processes. So, thank you so much for being here.